Hello, this is Kristen Brinley with Nova Real Producers. Welcome to our podcast. I am here right now with the wonderful, fantastic Scott Silverstein. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to talk about his story. He has a fantastic story. This man's been a pro athlete. Today here with Scott, we're happy to talk about his story, and he has an awesome story. So tune in, you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. Like, share, all that good stuff. And so, Scott, tell us. You're here at Caliber. Did you always plan on being a lender? Tell us your story.
Did I always plan on being a lender? Short answer is no. My whole life was baseball. I spent 25 years, whether it be college, high school, college. I was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays, so I did that for a couple of years. I spent 25 years in baseball. I got released and looked around and said, what next? So I was actually giving pitching lessons to a buddy's son. They say, you need to meet my brother-in-law, and he does mortgages. And I was like, why would I ever do that? I thought you just went to the bank and they gave you a stack of money and you walked out. And it turned into the best decision I've made. I think, Mike Morris is now the branch manager here, and he gave me a shot. And to be honest with you, it's very similar to the life I used to live in baseball. It's an everyday thing. It's self-driven, and there's a lot to it that mirrors sort of that same life I've always lived. So I consider myself very lucky to be here.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. And Scott was our September spotlight, so check out his story. It was on the one with Tom Francis on the cover here. So actually, I think that was August. Yep, that was the August one. So check it out, his story. And Scott, you played for the Blue Jays. So tell us a little more about that and the lessons you learned that have transferred into being one of the city's best lenders. Like, he's been a lender for a while, guys. Yeah.
It's a long story, but I'll kind of cut to the chase. I came out of high school, had my first shoulder surgery, went to the University of Virginia. 15 months later, had it done again. Was told, look, you'll probably, you'll never throw again. Good chance you'll never pitch again. So I was, thinking about what could be next. What does life have in store? Realized that this is really what I wanted to do. I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to, play professionally. My dream was always to be a big leaguer. 3 years later, I finally came back from it. My fifth year in college, ended up getting my master's degree. I was drafted by the Blue Jays. Did that for a few years. Ended up hurting my elbow after a couple of years, and got released. But going back to what the life is like in baseball and how it relates to this, baseball is a grind. I mean, it's a 7-8 month season. You're pretty much fully dependent on yourself. You don't get much support outside of family and friends. I mean, the organization sort of hands you the ball and says run with it. So it took a lot of whether it be self-motivation or perseverance to come back from some of the stuff I was able to come back from, or to be able to last in the minor leagues sort of as long as I did. I'm proud of that stuff. I think it relates directly into this life, and the fact that you have 4 months in the off season to decide how next season's going to be, whether that's working out every day, Christmas, New Year's, whatever it is. You have to do it, and I think this is very similar. Whether it's hey, I want to go to bed, but there's somebody who needs me at 10 o'clock at night. I try to make myself available to really help out, because that's how I've always been. That's what helped me succeed in baseball and in the minor leagues, and I think that that directly translates into this career.
Absolutely. I've seen the discipline and just you're ready to get her done no matter what.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Walk us through the step-by-step process for how you got where you are today. What was the first thing you did, and how did that work out, and then what did you do next?
Sure. So, like I said, I sort of took this career sight unseen. It was more or less sold to me as a direct reflection of what I've done my whole life, and I grabbed onto it. So I didn't know what to do, but I was told, hey, go walk into real estate offices, try to meet some agents, learn something. turns out not many people are in offices these days, so had to go to plan B. Relied heavily on my friends and family and said, look, I need help, I need support, I'm not after your business. Please, if you can introduce me to a real estate agent someone who sold you your house. All I want to do is sit down with them, learn from them. I'm not even going to poach them for their business. I simply want to learn. One of the best things I did was got in contact with Michael Guthrie down in Charlottesville, who happens to run Roy Wheeler and is a season ticket holder of the baseball program. Just went down there and said, hey, look, I need to learn. I need to know what this industry is from your side. How does it work as a lender? And he was an incredible asset to me. Introduced me to people up in Northern Virginia, helping me get my start. So I do consider myself very lucky to have some of the support I've had, whether it be friends, family, coworkers, other people in the industry. I've been, like I said, very lucky.
Yeah, I find the harder I work too, the luckier that I tend to be. So
I think that goes for anything. You make your own luck to a certain extent.
Absolutely. So tell us, your relationships and so on. Like, you just spoke highly of a relationship that you had garnered, and how do you get clients? Like, what does that look like for you? Like, what is, do you have any habits or things that you do? Yeah.
So I think you touched on it. I think it's heavily relationship. I think that's either whether you're a real estate agent, lender, title company. I think everybody's going to work with who they like, who they trust, who they think's going to get the job done. I do some marketing. Whether it be Facebook or in the Real Producer magazine, which has been awesome. But directly, I think it's purely relationship, where I meet with someone and try to make it a point that, hey, look, I'm not sitting here with my hands out begging for business, saying this is all about me. My goal, when I have a business partner, whether it be a real estate agent, a financial advisor, something like that, to help grow their business. My goal is to do a good enough job where that client turns around and sends clients back to the person who sent me the business. I don't necessarily want them to send me more business. I want them to send it back to, let's say, the agent, so I can help grow their business. I want this to be a mutual relationship where we're both benefiting from, because I think I see tremendous value in what they do. My goal is to have them see tremendous value in what I do and tremendous value to their business. So I do everything I can to help build that and help grow what they do.
Absolutely. Tell us what your day-to-day looks like. Like, I know you're a busy guy. You're taking the time with us today. We appreciate it. Like, what's your typical day?
Sure. So every day is different. I think when you're in, again, whether you're an agent, a lender, any sort of quote unquote running your own business, every day has its own challenges. I try to spend as little time in front of the computer as possible. I've grown a small team here to handle some of that stuff for me, where I can be more in person, where I can obviously do the emails, do the files when I need to, but more importantly, if a client wants to meet, I'm available. If I want to try to sit down with an agent and grow that relationship more, again, I just try to make myself as available as possible. So day-to-day is challenging. That's a tough question because every day is different. Every day has its own challenges. But again, I'm lucky to have built the support underneath of me to help get to where I want to be and help have some of the freedoms I have at this point.
Speaking of having a small team already, tell us a little bit about what does the next 1 to 5 years look like in the industry, do you think? And what does it look like for you personally?
Sure. So, I don't think anyone really has a crystal ball. I think, again, when I was meeting with Mike to discuss this job, he said, look, when I first took a career as being a loan officer, they told me, this job would be obsolete. Everything's going online. Realtors are going by the wayside, lenders are going by the wayside, and here we are still 20 years later. So, I think there's obviously an opportunity to do everything you want online, whether it be buy a house, get a loan, buy a car. I still think there's a lot of value in that personal relationship, having someone walk you through it, whether it be show you a house, make sure all the contracts and everything is good. And then with the loan, same idea. I mean, this is a complicated process. I think having an advisor walk you through it, show you your options, show you how it works, make sure, you're set up short-term and long-term financially is great, because obviously you can do this online, but again, it is it's a lot. It's confusing for even people that are doing it, let alone people that have never seen it before. So I do think there's going to be more and more digital tools, more and more stuff is going online. I do think there's a lot of value in having an advisor. For me personally, like I said, I have my small team, looking to expand on that as I continue to grow. Again, I think my goal at this point is to make sure that when you're going through a home buying process, it's stressful, it's complicated. I want to continue to help streamline that as much as possible by bringing people on and making sure we're delivering a client experience where the loan is more or less an afterthought. They're not focused on that. They're focused on paint colors, moving, countertops, the stuff they really want to do versus having to worry about pay stubs and bank statements and that kind of stuff. So having the support underneath of me has been huge, and looking to grow that to make sure we can handle and meet people's goals.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with the Real Producer community?
The Real Producer has been great. I'm happy to be a part of it, so thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thank you.
I really like what I do. I think, like I said before, I think whenever you're running your own business, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of tough days. There's a lot of days where, you can look in the mirror and question if what you're doing is the right thing anymore. I think everybody has those moments. I rely a lot on what I've been through in the past. I rely a lot on some of the perseverance and drive that helped get me through some of the stuff I went through in baseball, whether it be the injuries, 5 years of college, minor league baseball, which, if you don't know much about it, we can certainly have that discussion on that life, has really helped me today. Like I said before, I'm incredibly lucky to have my family, friends, my support system underneath me to help me get here. But like I said, I consider myself very lucky to be with Caliber, to have grown sort of how I have and be able to help the people I have.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. And this guy's impressive. His 5th year, he finished his master's. I know that we didn't say that in there, but he finished his master's. And in the minor leagues, he's one of the very few people that had their master's too, which is kind of fascinating and interesting.
It was pretty cool. I mean, you're in a room with people not from the country, guys that signed out of high school, guys that signed early in college. And it was weird to be the one guy with a master's degree in an industry where being educated isn't always valued. So it was a nice tool to have in my pocket.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
yeah.
Thank you.
And anyone, if there's questions or anything, we will definitely answer, or he'll type in an answer. I'll see you all. You've heard it from Nova Real Producers.